RailwayRashad's Custom Railway Series book, More About the Four Little Engines. Story 1. Rheneas's Roller Coaster Ride. The children were going on a field trip around the Skarloey Railway. They were on Bears's local train heading to Crowburn's Gate. Mr. Percival came to see the engines at the shed. "Rheneas," he said, "I have an important job for you." "Oh, yes, please, sir," said Rheneas. "You are to give the children a tour of the Skarloey Railway, and you also had to take them to the tea-room station in time for their surprise buffet." "Yes, sir," said Rheneas, but he was worried. "How am I going to make the children's day special?" he thought. "You and Skarloey have worked on the line for years," confronted Rusty. "I'm sure the trip will go well," and he set off to do some maintenance work. When Rheneas arrived at Crowburn's Gate Station with Ada, Jane, and Mabel, the teacher and children were waiting for him. They were excited for their tour. As soon as they went on board, Rheneas steamed along the way. Mr. Percival told Rheneas's driver to show the children the sights. "Here," he said, "is the valley view. This is where people get to have picnics." The children were intrigued, but not Rheneas. He was too focused on thinking how he could make the trip special. As he steamed along, his driver showed the children Harwich-Dorwich Castle. "Here is Harwich-Dorwich Castle," he said. "It was made during medieval times." "How fascinating," one of the children said. As Rheneas went through the tunnel, his driver told the children that it was named after him. "It's also the same tunnel which two engines got stuck in and lost one of their whistles," he said. "My father once read me 2 books about those engines," said a boy. "Really?" said the girl who was behind him. "Yes," replied the boy. "He also told me that a man wrote books about the engines." "Wow," said the girl. Soon Rheneas arrived at the viaduct. "And here is the viaduct, who was also named after Rheneas. It is also where one of the engines who got stuck on it." "Ooh, ah," said the children. But Rheneas was still too focused on making the trip exciting. "I need to find something which will make the trip more exciting," he said. Meanwhile, Rusty was working on the Ulster line. The storm that swept across a few days ago made the ground washed away under the track. "These lines are too bumpy and uneven," said the foreman. "The track on the right needs to be closed for repairs." "Understood, sir," said Rusty. "I must make the trip special," Rheneas thought to himself as he passed by Lakeside. Rheneas was still thinking of ideas to make the trip special, but he couldn't think of what. And he didn't realize that the points were set to the Ulster line. The driver didn't notice it either until it was too late. Rheneas then realized that he was on the wrong track. "Oh no," he cried. "This line is closed for repairs. Bust my buffers!" "Be careful," Rusty called out. "The track up ahead is steep." "What's going on?" cried the teacher. "We were switched on to the wrong line," said the driver. "Considering the fact of how we were switched on to the wrong line, it appears we're going across the Rocky Ricky line. It has to be the steepest line on the Skarloey Railway. I suggest that you all hold tight." Rheneas whooshed down the line like a roller coaster. The children cheered and the teacher hung on to her hat, which almost blew away. "Whoa!" cried Ada, Jane, and Mabel. As he passed over the bridge, the children oohed and ah. He raced by the mountain village station where Ivanhoe was waiting. "Blustering boilers!" he gasped. The teacher covered her eyes as Rheneas puffed along. Then they approached the tea-room station. "Brakes, guard, please!" he called, and the guard did. He applied the brakes, on the brake van, and soon Rheneas began to slow down. Poor Rheneas felt shaken, and so did Ada, Jane, and Mabel. Mr. Percival was on the platform watching. "Phew!" gasped the teacher, "just in time for the special buffet we're having." "It was the best school trip ever," said the children. Mr. Percival was proud too. "You gave the children a wonderful trip despite the points failure. You are indeed a really useful engine." "Oh, thank you, sir," said Rheneas proudly. "First I brought the passengers home through a storm and saved the railway, and now I gave the children an unexpected ride. What an eventful day that was!" And everyone agreed. Story 2. A Smooth Ride. Sir Handel is very proud to be a useful engine, despite a few misfortunes. He has become much more wiser too. Mr. Percival came to see him one day. "I have 3 jobs for you, Sir Handel," he said. "You are to take a train of slate to the wharf, some strawberries to the tea-room station, and the tea service." "Oh, yes, sir," said Sir Handel, and he set off to collect the cars from the quarry. As soon as Sir Handel collected his cars, he set off to the wharf. But as he set off through the Echo Park Valley, there was trouble. Sir Handel began to splutter and jitter, and he stopped. "What happened?" he asked his driver. "There's something wrong with your firebox," he cried. "We had to call for help." But there wouldn't be any need to do that. Peter Sam arrived making his way to the quarry. "What's going on, Sir Handel?" he asked. Sir Handel told him about his problem. "Not to worry, I'll help you to Skarloey Station. Then you can make your way," he said. Sir Handel felt relief, and Peter Sam pushed him to Skarloey Station. By the time Peter Sam arrived and let Sir Handel make his way to the wharf, he finished his job and headed to the strawberry grove to collect the cars of strawberries. As soon as he coupled up to the cars, he steamed away. "I mustn't be late or break down again," he thought. But I'm sorry to say that he was. As he steamed along the line, the weight of the cars were too much for Sir Handel, and he stopped. Soon Duncan arrived. Sir Handel explained to him about his problem. "Don't worry, I'll help you," smiled Duncan, and he pushed Sir Handel and his cars to the tea-room station. A little later, Sir Handel went to Crovan's Gate Station to take the tea service. As he coupled up to the coaches, he was worried. "I hope I don't stop again," he thought. As the passengers were on board, Sir Handel made his way. As he steamed through, he made it up the hill near Rheneas Tunnel. "I must make it, I must," he panted. But then there was trouble. Sir Handel started to splutter and shake. The coaches rocked and rolled, and the passengers, as well as Mr. Percival, were bounced, and their teacups spilled tea on their clothes. Sir Handel had to shuttle to a stop. Mr. Percival got out and inspected him. "What's wrong with you, Sir Handel?" he said. "You completed your other jobs on time, but you are having trouble with the tea service. If we can't do anything, I'll have to send you to the slate quarry to replace you with the train." "No, please, sir," said Sir Handel, and he explained about his problem. The narrow gauge controller was surprised and made a telephone call. Soon Iberhue took over and Bertram pulled Sir Handel to the shed. Sir Handel was worried when Fred arrived. "I brought an engineer to help you," he said, and he was right. Soon enough Sir Handel was fully repaired. By the time he went back to work, he didn't have another incident with spluttering or shaking when doing some work ever again.